YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel video, everybody. I'm so excited to have you all back here together again. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing the next MCU film that has finally come out after Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, if you know me, this was actually one of my most anticipated films of this year, mainly because it's introducing martial arts into the MCU. It's giving us the real Mandarin, and it's an original world inside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Though the trailers, I don't feel like any of them have really excited me, but the shots, I'm just questioning. That's just it. Like, what am I exactly looking at? But before we get talking about my review for Shang-Chi, I think it's best that we talk about what were my thoughts going into Shang-Chi, and then kind of talk about my thoughts like after it, and like my review in it. So let's get started talking about what were my thoughts going into it. Okay, so my thoughts going into Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was, well, first, what were my initial thoughts for the origins of the character, for the actual character of Shang-Chi? I knew nothing about. I heard about him in previous stuff, but it's like I never technically heard anything about the character of Shang-Chi. The only thing that I kind of knew about him before the trailers came out and stuff, and that it was actually announced that they were making it, is he was this martial artist, and he was a kung fu master. And when I heard about that, I was like, this is gonna be one of the best Marvel movies ever made, because it's gonna have martial arts in it. And when you're bringing martial arts, because martial arts is like one of the best types of fighting styles in any in any movie, in any type of thing ever. And when you're putting it into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you just make the world and universe so much better. Beyond that, you're also introducing a new world of the MCU that is very unique and distinct, which we'll talk about the world in a couple of minutes. But I was just also excited for how the action was gonna play out, the new world, the character of Shang-Chi, the real Mandarin, and also we do get the return of, actually, no, wait, I'll talk about that in a minute, but we get the real Mandarin, how is the real Mandarin such a great villain, and what his motivations do, the character of Shang-Chi, this new world, and martial arts. That's really the stuff that I was excited to going into this movie. But now, let's talk about the film itself. And let's start talking about Shang-Chi. The first thing that I really want to talk about with this film is the action. Now I know that's something kind of to talk about in the middle of the section of this video, but I mean, the action shocked me because in the trailers it seemed pretty okay. Like, it looked like just normal martial arts. But then I kept seeing it, and with the flashbacks and everything, it really worked. Especially with the scenes of young Shang-Chi fighting guys. I mean, I thought that stuff was phenomenal. And as the movie went along, the action just got better and better and better. And I was just loving the action from here on out. I just love the action and the way it was choreographed. And I certainly didn't care if they did CGI. Because, but honestly, I was expecting this film to be a little bit more of a realistic movie, because this is a martial arts film. And I know that this movie has to do with a guy having these powerful 10 rings that can give the powers of a god, that give the powers of eternal, that can give the powers of eternal life. But I wish that it was kind of a little bit more humanized. and that the action didn't really need to go weird. But in the third act, it did go weird with like dragons and lion and like Chinese lions and stuff, and I thought that was okay. I liked how the Ten Rings and this land of Talo was actually teaming up to stop these dragons. And speaking of which, now let's talk about the characters. I think all the characters in here are pretty good. Shang-Chi as a character, Simu Liu plays a good Shang-Chi. He plays a great character but his role in the movie feels familiar, but it's understandable, where his father trained him to be this assassin, and he just does not like what he's doing. He had to, like that scene in the trailers where he hits the wood, and they don't show in the trailers, but in the movie, like his knuckles are all like bloody and stuff from hitting it so much. And like you see like how he was trained, and like he was trained to kill any man. And I thought that was interesting to me. And he had to run away, and the relationship with his sister, as he said that he would be gone for only 3 days, but he was gone for like 6 years. And then his sister left. And then also his sister also has a great arc, because she couldn't train with her father said she couldn't train with the boys, but she decided to watch them and learn from them and make herself better than them, make her fighting style better than them. And I thought that was kind of cool. And then I also like little Easter egg with her actually taking over the Ten Rings at the end, where if the Mandarin can't let her have her own empire, then I'll build my own empire outside of the United States. And now that Mandarin is gone, she can actually take the Ten Rings and make it her own empire, and actually put girls in the group. And I thought that was a very interesting little character arc for Su Xiaoling. I don't know her name. And then let's talk about Awkwafina as Katie. I liked her in this movie. I like all the other movies that Awkwafina has appeared in, whether it was Raya and the Last Dragon earlier this year, which I thought she was great in that movie. I don't remember any other movie that she's appeared in other than Raya. I know she's appeared in Crazy Rich Asians, but I've seen half of that movie, so I don't know much about that. Overall, I just like Awkwafina. I think there's multiple scenes in this movie where she is just absolutely funny, and she works with it of what she's doing. So she's hilarious in the movie. But some scenes do undercut the story a little bit. And also, likewise, let's just kind of talk about how the story was invented. The way the story was, it kind of told it. I liked how it kind of referred back to past martial arts Chinese stories, where it was a story that was taking place in the MCU, but it told it with this Chinese martial artist fashion. And I like that. And then also, let's just kind of like talk about the world that we get introduced to. So we are introduced to the world of the Ten Rings, like the real Ten Rings, not those Afghanistan terrorists that kidnapped Tony Stark in the first Iron Man movie. The Ten Rings are these assassins, these kung fu assassins that aren't technically Afghanistan soldiers. They're actually assassins, and they actually fight. They are spies. And you also get other people like Death Dealer and Razor Fist, which I thought they were pretty cool in the action side of things, especially Razor Fist. I thought he had a pretty good arc with Zhu Xiaoling, as he actually transitions to be good and work alongside her at the end. And then Death Dealer actually had some pretty good stuff. He was I don't know if he was a boy or girl, but Death Dealer had some great scenes with the action with him fighting Shang-Chi. I thought that was just great. And then likewise, the world of Talo was just something I've never seen before. Honestly, because like I said in my predictions video, my thoughts going into it, I was expecting this film to be a little bit more realistic, because it's a martial arts film, and when you're doing most martial arts movies don't really have this fantasy world stuff And I thought it was gonna be a little bit like Black Widow, where they were gonna take sort of this spy stuff, and I mean, yeah, they have these 10 rings that are the most powerful things in the universe, but I mean, I felt like I feel like they should just use the 10 rings as the tease for something even more powerful. But even then, I still like the world of Talo that we got. I thought it was beautiful. It was a little bit weird to see these colorful creatures. It almost reminded me of Avatar at one point. And because the 10 rings were coming into Talo to attack Shang-Chi's mom's land, I honestly thought it was going to be like Avatar, where every creature just joins the fight and attacks the 10 rings. Kind of like how in Avatar, where all the creatures of Pandora go on the evil soldiers' army. And like, technically they didn't do that. The soldiers of that land fought, and some of the Chinese lions did. But none of the, like, the weird hooved animals fought. But if they did, I would be glad. And then likewise, you also get some dragons in here, which to me is kind of confusing, but I like the fighting style in here. And that's really all I gotta say about the good on this one. Now let's move on to the bad. Okay, so for me, the biggest issue with this film is I just did not like the way the story went. I feel like that the story was just so confusing at certain points in time. Like, now it was good enough for me to understand the story, but it's like the way they do it. Like, it starts off with the origin of the Mandarin and the 10 rings and Wenwu meeting Shang-Chi's mom, and then it cuts to a scene of the mom giving Shang-Chi this amulet, the pendant, and then it cuts to like a scene like in present day in San Francisco, and then it cuts to Shang-Chi and Katie doing the car stuff, and then talking to a couple of friends at a bar. It cut. I don't like the way it cuts back to different scenes of the film, and then like as Shang-Chi's telling the story, it's like they're actually telling the story on a bus, which is on a plane, which is why you hear the person beef or everything. Like that's just so weird in the way the story, like, it ruins the way the story is told. And I wish they did it differently and actually made the story reasonable and serious. Likewise, I just feel like that the humor was kind of used too much. Now, granted, when the serious scenes played in, I thought it was great, and I laughed at almost every funny moment in here. But I just feel like they did the humor too much. And likewise, I just feel like that the fantasy stuff didn't really fit in. I mean, it worked for me. I definitely enjoyed it. It definitely reminded me of Avatar, and I definitely liked the weirdness of it being weird in the third act, of like dragons and stuff. But I mean, I'm just saying, I didn't really want fantasy stuff. And then likewise, the whole plot line with Wenwu kind of thinking that the mom is calling him, and then like this whole wall is releasing dragons and stuff, and then Shang-Chi has to like defeat the dragon, and then it literally and then it goes back to the bar scene, and then Wong calls them, and then the movie literally ends like that, and then it just has two post-credit scenes. How is that supposed to do good with a movie? I mean, the action was good in that scene, I'm not gonna lie, but I just don't understand why you had to do that. Like, that was just crazy. And then likewise, everybody was saying that Katie got involved in the action, and I guess you could say she did when she hit Razor Fist with a fire extinguisher, and then she shot the dragon in the throat. But I mean, that's not really much. She's funny, but she doesn't really get in on the action. And then I feel like I have a lot more problems. And then likewise, Death Dealer, honestly, I thought he was going to be a lot like this Taskmaster type thing, and he wasn't, because technically, he got killed he was one of the first people to get killed when the dragons were released. And I'm like, this is crazy. I can't believe that they would actually have so much time to develop, like, they didn't even develop his character. That character didn't even say a thing in the movie. All he did was fight and take orders from the Mandarin. That's all he did. I know I'm not trying to be too negative on the film, because there are some great things about the film. But I wish the film was better. I wish that there was some good stuff. But I'm gonna give it a little bit more heart, because I have to say, I think this movie is better than Black Widow. I can't put it, Black Widow, because Black Widow, it doesn't feel like an original story. The story was fine, but Shang-Chi is just such a better film, and it may seem like I would give it a B-, which you'll see my score in a minute, but this movie's way better than Black Widow, and it's definitely the better film for 2021 of this year. It's my favorite, not so much. I would probably give it, well, you'll see my score. But before I give my final score, be sure to comment down below, what were your thoughts on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Or right there between? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. With that said, let's get on my scores.